Greetings and happy Monday, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Mal, and welcome to this week's A Monday Moment with Dr. Mal. It's my show. As always, may this broadcast bring you exactly what you need in the present moment. May my light exude positivity and kindness, and may my love be extended to all who could use a little extra. Ashe. Let's seize the moment, see the moment. This week, I'm incredibly grateful for all the show of love for me finishing my doctorate. It feels great to be done with it all. Um, I found myself, I find myself wondering what I'm going to do to fill my time. I've downloaded a million books that I want to read during this point, and there's so many things that I want to do that it's hard to organize it all. But first, I must rest. Last Thursday evening, I laid on the couch and I accidentally went to sleep, and I popped up at 11:44 p.m. and I thought it was the next morning, but it was not. And then I transported myself to the bedroom, and then I actually went right back to sleep. And that rarely happens. So my brain is tired, my body is tired. So I'm giving myself some time to rest. And I'm incredibly grateful for my son and husband who let me sleep because I needed it. I'm also grateful to the administration and the administrative staff of Citizens of the World Kansas City. Is a charter school in the city that I am long-term subbing at. They planned an incredible teacher appreciation week. And my favorite parts of the week were recess duty coverage and Flower Friday, where students got to bring beautiful flowers to the teacher. And if you looked at my story, you saw that I received quite the show of flowers. So I was incredibly grateful. I even got some handwritten notes from kids and their parents, just expressing so much love. So every day my babies melt me when they say, "Can I have a hug?" or "Miss McCoy" or "Dr. McCoy." And it's just so beautiful. So I'm grateful for the time that I've been able to spend at Citizens of the World. And I'm sad that it's coming to an end on Friday. Their teacher is going to come back for the last week of school. So they're excited, but sad at the same time. It's hard to put those in different places. So okay, let's get to it. Now, you know I love me a good definition, and I'm team facts over feelings. So let's get into it. According to dictionary.com, to teach means to impart knowledge or skill in or to, or give instruction in or give instruction to. A teacher is defined as a person who teaches or instructs. And appreciation in this context means gratitude and thankful recognition. According to the American Consortium for Equity in Education website, Teacher Appreciation Week was actually founded by a woman named Maddie Mae White Woodridge. She was born in 1909, died in 1999, and she was a Black Arkansas teacher at a school in the segregated South during the 40s, early 40s. She thought that teachers should be recognized for what they do for society, and she was going to make that happen. So she wrote to every U.S. governor about this. In her letters to many lawmakers and school leaders, she stressed the need for a national day to commend teachers. A letter she wrote in 1944 eventually found its way to First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt's desk. After getting that message, Miss Roosevelt asked the 81st U.S. Congress to think about giving teachers a day every year to be recognized and thanked for their hard work. In addition, the National Education Association, also known as NEA, and its state members in Kansas and Indiana worked hard to make Woodridge's, that's hard to say, idea come true. The NEA pushed Congress to make a day for the whole country to honor teachers, just like Miss Roosevelt did. They worked on her idea for decades, Woodridge's idea for decades, and she actually was able to live to see it come to life. Um, Congress first made March 7th, 1980 National Teacher Day, but only for that 1 year. However, there was already a movement to make it an annual event, and people all over the country continue to enjoy it. The NEA and its affiliates celebrated National Teacher Day on the first Tuesday of March for a few more years. And then in 1985, the NEA Representative Assembly decided to make that day the official National Teacher Day. So March 7th, the first Tuesday of March. They wanted to make the Day of Appreciation official too, but then they went one step further to announce that the first full week of May should be known as Teacher Appreciation Week every year. So just in 1985. And since we're speaking about appreciation for teachers, I certainly am bringing some more facts about how society values teachers because I can think of I think everyone can think of at least one teacher that has been incredibly impactful to their life. So that brings me to the topic of this week. Teacher Appreciation Week is not enough. Don't get me wrong, as I mentioned earlier, I'm incredibly grateful for the gesture of the school that I'm currently working at and their effort to appreciate teachers. And I know that teachers felt appreciated, and it was really cool. The gift of time, the flowers, the food. We had Kona ice one day. It was just really cool. And the parents also were bringing food to school and putting it in the teacher's lounge. So I'm certainly not knocking the week long celebration. However, I just think that there needs to be um, a societal shift in how we treat educators. To start, because of my teaching experience, I thought that the dictionary definition of a teacher was kind of short. Anyone who spent any time in a classroom knows that the teacher definition is way more complex than that. Teachers have many other jobs that they have embedded in their job description, including but not limited to counselor, nurse, parent, mediator, event planner, motivator, drill sergeant, mentor, therapist, cheerleader, entertainer, creator, and protector, just to name a few. I could probably kept going with that list. And as I previously mentioned, I'm finishing up this long-term sub position teaching kindergarten, and I finally have reached a pinnacle with them because they have now started confusing Miss McCoy and Dr. McCoy with mommy. They'll be like, "Mommy, I mean, Dr. McCoy," or "Mommy, I mean, Miss McCoy." And any educator that's taught for any length of time knows that when they mix that term up with you, then that's certainly a term of endearment, and they love you. So because of this dynamic, it's wild that educators are still being treated by society like we don't matter. And it's never in words, but it's always in action. A 2002 article by the US Census Bureau pointed out the pay discrepancies among educators and other similarly educated workers. In my research, there are professions that pay way more than education, and in these professions, you don't have to pay money to get an advanced degree to get paid more money. In fact, there are companies that will pay for you to get an advanced degree and then pay you more because you have it. And even with graduate degrees, educator pay is still behind other equally educated workers. The public school system requires the educator to continue education at their expense, but the pay increase that goes with that often doesn't match what the educator paid to get the continued education. So educators are often left with this accumulating student loan debt that affects all areas of adulting, including buying homes and starting families. And just as a personal testament, since I quit full time teaching, I've been on job hiring sites and have read through the skills needed for similar positions to educators in the corporate world. And I have possessed many of the skills that I've read about that are required. And so I applied for the job that I knew I had qualifications for. But since my resume simply said vocal music educator, the skills I have weren't reflected in that title to recruiters and not enticing enough for recruiters to choose me. So I just quit applying for the jobs and took it as a divine or like divine intervention for me to not get back into that particular workforce. Another thing I wanted to highlight is the current state of education. And this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. School is not the same school that you or even I attended when we attended school. In fact, research shows that post pandemic schools are vastly different than even pre pandemic schools. So, school from 2019 is not a school from 2024. Doesn't look the same, and the teachers that have been in it the whole entire time can tell you that it's not the same. Teacher shortages, COVID-19 learning loss, and political battles over curriculum are among the top challenges that plague schools today. In a recent article from the NEA publication entitled "What Teachers Want the Public to Know," there was a survey by the Pew Research Center that surveyed over 2,500 public school educators. And teachers noted that teacher workloads are too heavy, noted and can attest to, and they feel underpaid. But there's no feeling to that. They are certainly underpaid. Students are struggling with academic underperformance and behavior problems, which are huge. Poverty, chronic absenteeism, anxiety, and depression are more prevalent than, or yeah, is more prevalent than ever. Um, I can also attest to the chronic absenteeism and the behavior problems. They're off the charts. Even, I mean, as a veteran teacher, they are off the charts. The survey also noted that for teachers, cell phones are a huge distraction to the learning environment, but they're also cell phones are also a huge distraction to every environment. They also expressed that they need more government and parental support, particularly empathetic support, due to the time, money, and emotional tolls that come with the profession. I can say this with my chest: no one will ever know what it's like to teach in a post pandemic classroom until they spend some time in the classroom right now. In saying this, there are people in policy making spaces creating and enforcing policies for schools with no post pandemic classroom experience. It's really tone deaf to what is happening. One of the most eye opening things that I learned in my doctoral program is just how political schools are. And actually, because I started my doctoral program before the pandemic. So um, I am earlier in my teaching career. I feel like we were kind of shielded from the politics that were happening in the upper levels of the school system. But when the pandemic happened, uh, politics just flooded the hallways, flooded the classrooms, flooded the minds of students. And the crazy thing is that when politics flooded the school, then the humans were taken out of the equation. I teach humans, I don't teach robots. The art of teaching became robotic, and the humans were we are teaching are treated like they're in jail. It's an authentic representation of the school to prison pipeline, which is not the goal and should never ever be the goal of the goal of school. Schools should be spaces of physical, mental, creative, and emotional safety, peace, and empowerment, not spaces of incarceration. So, what do I think that we can do about it? What can you do about it? Today, my call to action to you is to simply show up and show out for education and educators. First, if you are a parent, you are your child's first teacher. Prepare them in the best way that you can for school. Spend some time with your children, get them out from behind those devices, read to them, drill them, with letters and numbers and help them write their name. Don't just let them identify their name by the first letter of their name. And if you're choosing to send them into a school space, which is fine, some of us have no choice but to do so. Make sure that they get a good night's sleep, that they're hydrated with the proper hydration, water, and are getting a nutritious meal to feed their brain. Hot Takis is not a nutritional meal. Sorry, not sorry. I'm calling out some parents because I see and have seen this for years. Kids eating large bags of Takis, and that's their food for the day. And that is not helping. Honey buns aren't helping either. Sugar cereal's not helping either. So if you don't have this space to get your kids what they need, then it's okay to ask for help. Don't let your pride overshadow what is necessary. We have to spend some time rebuilding our villages, rebuilding the trust that it takes to help rear children. And it's really hard, but we also know it should feel like we don't have to do these things alone. Um, get to your neighborhood school if you have kids or if you don't have kids and ask them what they need. They are the experts. You can also sign up for tutoring at the school. A lot of schools have programs that will allow for community members to serve in the schools with a background check, of course. But like at my school, they had youth friends where a member of the community would come spend time and eat lunch with students. So that's something that is and can be a thing, or just approaching the principal and asking what the school needs. Schools belong to the community. So another thing you can do is show up in spaces that create policies for schools and be active in that way. The people who haven't set foot in schools since they were in schools are sure showing up in these spaces and creating policy for educational spaces. And those with kids in any school system should be the first on the front lines because it's your kids that are being directly affected by these policies being created. You can start by attending your local school board meeting. And then that same token, support local bonds and school funding initiatives. 81% of school funding comes from property taxes. So those of us who own homes, we have no choice but to pay mortgages and pay taxes to schools. So if your money is going towards these educational spaces, I would think that it would also be important for you to be fully informed about where your money is going, even though you don't have any choice as to where your money is going, and then vote for those issues. You can write to elected officials. They have really easy ways to contact officials, and officials want to hear from the constituents. So you can write by hand, like Miss Woodridge did, or you can go and email them. And yeah, there's power in that. So staying connected to these spaces and letting your voice be heard is important. And if you're a local business owner, you can volunteer for like a career day or create a workshop to present to students, giving them being the conduit or the segue to the general population because they are our future. And so if you could volunteer and give back in those spaces, that's wonderful. They need real examples, real life examples of anything that they dream that they can be. You can also sign up to substitute teach. There's a huge substitute teaching shortage. And so this would certainly be helpful to schools. And mentoring students, not tutoring, but mentoring students is also helpful. I know in the classroom that I'm teaching right now, there's several students who are missing male figures in their home. So certainly that could be, and I have students who are missing female figures in their home. So mentoring is certainly helpful too. And if you don't or can't spend time, don't want to, or you can't spend time with kids, you can always donate supplies or items to fulfill the needs that can't be met by the resources of the school. Right now, the huge need for families and children is food. There's a shortage or just the inflation, as you already know, is ridiculous. And some families, they can't swing the rising cost of food for their kids at school and at home. At the particular school that I'm at right now, I asked how much school lunch is, and I think it's like $5 or something crazy like that when it was free during the pandemic. So now it's exponential, and that's a lot for your child to eat every day. Or as I've witnessed, your child to get a plate, they're like, "Ooh, I don't like that," and then they just throw the food away. That's $5 that you're throwing away every day. So, as a community member or even a parent, you can help by dropping off individually packaged snacks so that the kids can have snacks, or you can help by paying off lunch balances. And lastly, this is probably my most important thing on my call to action list because is so important, and it seems so nominal, it seems so elemental, but it's still not happening. Can you listen to teachers and advocate for the teacher voice in creating policies that directly affect schools? The people that are directly connected to children every day um, should be able to have the loudest voice. But that is not happening in the public school system or any school system for my observations and my experiences. Um, but that's what makes sense. But because teachers are so close to the children, they're just doing the work of those who are not so close to their children. So if we're in an environment with kids every day, and we are literally the first responders to the physical, mental, emotional, and educational needs of children, then shouldn't the voices of teachers like me be highlighted in making policy for educational space? Again, that sounds too simple, but it's just not happening. It's not like that. So we just I'm calling for a serious paradigm shift. And to wrap up, I will leave you with a quote and I will leave you with some affirmations. And the affirmations have a little bit of a different feel. So I saw this quote and I was like, yes. I always call myself a soul teacher. I'm teaching humans. I'm not teaching robots. So I read this and I was like, yeah, this as an artist myself, as a creative, this actually helped me and tied into me said, I have come to believe that a great teacher is a great artist and that there are as few as there are any other great artists. Teaching might even be the greatest of arts since the medium is the human mind and spirit. John Steinbeck said that. And I truly believe that. And I was just talking about this the other day. I was like, teaching is an art. And just because you know something doesn't mean you can teach it. And so it's really important for us to fall into those who are great teachers. And then I wanted to offer some affirmations for not teachers, but others to encourage teachers because teaching is really hard right now. It's hard mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally because you see so many things, you hear so many things. A baby came to school today with 102 fever. I swooped him up and put his head on my shoulder as he cried. He was saying his eye hurt, but he was burning up, and it was my mother instinct that took over and was just like, it's okay. But then, also managing 10, 12, 13 other human beings as they're coming in the door while I'm holding one human being. It's really difficult. So if you're an older student and you have a teacher, you can say, you do your best and I see that. You make learning fun. You give us so much confidence. I appreciate your patience with me when I feel stuck. And in addition to being an amazing teacher, you are a great person. I need to change this slide. I was typing too fast. Parents and community members, something that you could say to teachers is, your efforts to improve yourself and your students do not go unnoticed. That's saying again, I see you. Thank you. I'm willing to support you in the best way that I can. We appreciate the love, care, and protection you provide children every day. Thank you for educating our future. Those are just simple things that you can say to encourage a teacher and keep them putting one foot in front of the other, because really and truly, it's a difficult job. And teaching is often wrapped up in passion, and sometimes passion don't pay the bills, but we still show up every day because they feed teaching feeds the soul. You're showing up for the souls. Like I mentioned in my last live, like when I quit teaching, I would go to sleep and I would dream about children, like their souls were calling me back. So it's really it's a soul job. So well, that's all for me this week. Thank you for tuning in. Join me next week as I keep this teacher train going for a show entitled Dr. Sub, my sub experiences as a fully certified and veteran educator. I said I'd never sub, and here I am subbing, and now I'm Dr. Sub. So uh, I really want to speak about my experience as a sub and chronicle my journey with now my doctorate degree. So until then, love and peace to everyone. I hope that you have the best week and take care.